We're just 30 days away from the midterms, and issues like rising crime and inflation are at the top of voters' mind. That's why Democrats are looking to rebrand with a new rallying cry: fund the police. But is it too little, too late for that? Here now, two great guests to weigh in is Maslansky Partners President Lee Carter and Manhattan Institute fellow Heather McDonald. If you want to talk polls and you want to talk crime, we're talking to two of the right people right now. Heather, let me start with this. We heard the cries to defund the police. Now, as the elections are coming, they're moving in the other direction. Will that work in your mind?
Of course not. This is the Joe Biden Democratic Party crime wave. It began after the George Floyd race riots, and it continued thanks to Biden's constant rhetoric about the police being racist that led the cops to back off of essential constitutional proactive policing, and it led to prosecutors saying, we're not going to prosecute crime because it has a disparate impact on blacks. Well, when you stop prosecuting crime, guess what? You get another 3,400 black victims in 2020, and an even higher number in 2021. Should be a very easy sell for Republicans. You just ask Democrats, should prosecutors prosecute criminals? Should there be consequences for theft? If you're Mehmet Oz, you ask Mr. Fetterman, do you support what Larry Krasner is doing in Philadelphia? Krasner says policies are working. Philadelphia's crime, homicide, murder is at its highest in history. Is that your definition of working, or should we go back to policing and enforcing the law?
But Lee, millions will be spent in ads to try to turn that tide and say, no, that's maybe where we were before, but not anymore. Will it work on the polling political side?
I don't think so. I think generally speaking, when one party co-opts the other party's message, it just isn't resonant because people dismiss it. I mean, Democrats have to answer for the fact that they did say defund the police. They did say let's shift funds to other parts. And that is in large part why we have so many people concerned about safety. You have 60% of Americans say that one of the number one things they're going to vote on is whether or not it makes them feel, this candidate makes them feel more safe. Crime is one of the top issues right behind inflation and also women's rights. And so I think Democrats are learning pretty quickly they're going to need to address this, but it's not enough for them just to say that they want to fund the police, because they had said the opposite just a couple of years ago. They need to demonstrate they're going to do things differently, and I don't think they have time to make up that ground.
Real quick, go ahead.
I actually think that we shouldn't get too hung up on the actual defund language, because there's a lot of Democrats who did not say defund. But what they have said is the police are racist. And that's what's killing us today. This phony narrative that Biden has prosecuted constantly, he ran on it, that the criminal justice system is racist. He said it again this Thursday with his marijuana pardon, saying that marijuana prosecutions and arrests have been racist. They are not. And we have to get back to treating the police with the respect that they deserve.
They certainly haven't, those Democrat, mayors or governors or Senate candidates haven't called out big city prosecutors and others who refuse to do it. So in that sense, you're at least complicit. Are there particular races, Lee, that you're seeing on the Senate side or House side where this issue is a big one?
I think, as we just talked about, Pennsylvania is one where it's going to be a really, really big issue. But I don't think there's a state where it's not, because regardless of whether or not you're an urban dweller or a suburban dweller, crime is on the rise, and people really are thinking about whether or not they feel physically safe, financially safe, emotionally safe. These are all issues across the board. Crime is a really big issue, and I think it's going to play a huge role in this election.
Lee, let me pick your brain real quick. Between Nevada, Pennsylvania, Ohio, a lot of tight races that will determine the balance of the Senate. Is there a race that has some last-minute turns that has changed your perception of that race?
Well, I'm really fascinated by Pennsylvania, because we've seen this sort of neck and neck come back and forth, but we're seeing that across the board. I think issues that are the most important issue is inflation, the economy. There's no question about it. But women are really motivated by women's rights, and that's why you see so many advertisements in all of these states about abortion, but not just about abortion. They're turning it into about whether or not this is an equality women's rights issue. That's their flavor. Republicans are really focused a lot on the economy, and at the end of the day, it's going to come down, is this going to be pocketbook, or if I feel like I have equal rights? And so I look at a lot of these states and see who is winning on that front. I think the economy, though, in the end of the day, is going to be the one that's going to make the big difference.
And Heather, no matter what, this will be an issue in 24 as well. I mean, this is going to be a defining issue.
Homicide went up again in 2021. It's going up in 2022. We have to get cities, we have to get civilization back under control. The mass looting is completely unacceptable. There should be no more
would
second
think.
chances. No more second chances. From now on, we give the benefit of the doubt to the law-abiding, those who believe in our country, not to the criminal, not to the insane. Politicians have to put the needs of society first and stop pandering to the idea that criminals are victims. They are not. Here's the victims of crime. Those are the ones we should care about.
The fact that that's a prominent statement, the victims are the victims, is a testament of where we are. Heather McDonald, Lee Carter, great guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You got it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.